Hi everyone, welcome back to Chop's Garage again. I've been buying more motors. So as we go around in this video, you're probably going to see a few cars that I've bought. Probably too much to fit all into one video, but I have been out on a bit of a buying spree again. And those of you who follow me on Instagram will know about this one. What have I bought? I have bought this 2015 MG3 style 1.5 VTi-Tech. Never done one of these before. Always been interested to try one. I've read a little bit about them online. So this is the 105 brake horsepower chain driven engine that is made in conjunction with GM, which is obviously one of the biggest car manufacturers in the world. The power is quite high up there. It's about 6,500 revs for that 106 brake horsepower, sorry. And max torque I think is 125 foot-pound at about 4,500. So sounds like it's going to be a bit of a revvy little thing, but everybody noted the handling was particularly good on it, and it was a lot of fun to drive. So, you know, obviously there's compromises with all of these small, cheaper cars. You know, don't get out of your BMW or your Audi and start to think it's going to feel anything like those. It's not. But my initial opinion on it so far, and we will go for a test drive in it, is that, to be fair, it's no worse than an Igo. It's no worse than a Swift in terms of, you know, tinniness and build quality, and I actually quite like it. So the big thing with this car is 2015, it's only done 17,000 miles. Yep, only 17,000. Registered brand new at my local MG main dealer in Bideford. It's got a full main dealer service history, and it's been serviced every year. Now these come with a 7-year warranty, I think I'm correct in saying. So I imagine you have to do an annual service for the warranty to be valid. But so often I find people that do the mega low miles seem to think that they don't need to take the car in for servicing. They listen to friends and family and say, oh, you're not doing the mileage to merit it. But obviously things degrade with age as well. So annual service is the best, even if you do little to no mileage. So this one has got a full main dealer service history, all stamped up, all the service history records. The last one it had done most recently, they did engine oil, they did engine filter, air filter, but they also did the gearbox oil as well. Not seen many receipts for people doing gearbox oil, and they replaced the auxiliary belt as well. So yeah, service history outstanding on it. Condition wise, it is bang on, guys. It really is. Obviously 17,000 miles. There is one little mark down here on the corner of the wing, which obviously I'll get David to come and do. But I haven't actually cleaned it up yet, and a lot of this feels like paint transfer. So I think with a little bit of a clean, that might tidy up. Recently, a lot of people have been saying to me that these things don't kind of bother them. They'd rather have a cheaper price point on it. So I may leave it until point of sale to decide, and then do it. Alloy wheels. Really nice diamond cut alloy wheels. It's Goodyears all round. The tyres are Goodyear tyres around with loads of tread on them. And the alloys, I mean, they've got some minor sort of worming underneath the lacquer like all of these wheels tend to get. But none of it's peeling off yet. And yeah, down the sides of the car, mirror cap, totally unmarked. Door in good nick. Rear passenger door in good nick. I can't see any scrapes or scratches. Rear quarter, bang on again. Rear alloy again, nice condition, no curbing. No curbing on the alloys, it's just like that, a bit of worming. Now, a lot of people were saying that these are low spec as well. This one isn't. You've got rear parking sensors on it. You've got front LED driving lights on it. We'll get inside and have a look at the spec inside, but this one's actually really well spec'd out. Again, alloy, good nick, no curbing. No panel damage here. No panel damage in that door. Really, you can't even note any car part dings. It's in fantastic nick. Little bit of worming underneath that alloy again, but overall cracking. I can see a very slight shade difference between these two panels. I wonder if it's had a bit of paint on the bonnet at some time. But as I always say to you guys, you know, unless you've had a car brand new and you've had it all its life, I can guarantee you what you're driving's had a little bit of paint at some point. You might not think it has, but it will have done. Anyway, overall, I mean, it matches bang on this side. Absolutely bang on, so I wonder if it just wasn't the edge or something over there. But, you know, it's all looking really good. I can obviously spot this stuff a mile away, having done this job for as long as I have, but I think your average Joe is not really going to spot that, to be honest. Yeah, interior-wise, it's brand new. It is brand new. All the seats are perfect. It's really nicely quite done inside. You've got all this sort of red stitching on the seats, sporty little seats, red stitching on the steering steering gaiter there. Steering gaiter on the gear knob gaiter, and the steering wheel's got the same red stitching on it. The seats are perfect, absolutely unmarked, guys, and the carpets also absolutely unmarked. Again, you look at the plastics in this, it's no worse than any other car in this kind of range. I really can't say that any of the sort of Igos, the Swifts, the Hyundais, the Kias, I can't say any of those have got any better plastics than this. Again, the rear seats absolutely mint. Rear ISOFIX should be a good bonus for the type of person that might well buy this. MG3 VTi. Back, the boot is immaculate. I mean, it's like he's never had anything in here. And underneath, proper spare wheel with a kit that doesn't look like it's ever been out of the car. You get your safety triangle there. So yeah, spec wise, again, most of the Hyundais and the Kias have lower spec than this that I have in. You've got all round electric windows, you've got electric mirrors, you've got cruise control, volume control on for the stereo. On the stereo side of things, you've got Bluetooth for your mobile phone. Up here you've got auxiliary input, USB. You've got air conditioning, which blows nice and cold. I've checked that. You've got your traction control, got your airbag button down there. Spec wise, guys, it's up there with most of the stuff. You've got nice little red finished dials matching all the rest of the trim. All the plastics, if you look at the plastics, there's no scraping or scratching. They've got quite a nice texture to them. Yeah, I mean, for the price of this car, I have absolutely no problem with it at all. I put it up on Instagram and there was a few sort of comments about it, but I don't think anybody who's commented could have really ever been in one or driven one, because I think they're cracking. I'd say one thing this was, lauded for by a lot of the press. Now, obviously, remember the press drive really nice cars all the time, so when it comes to their comments, I always take them with a pinch of salt. 2 seconds. And obviously, if you get in a Fiesta and then get one of these, then the trim isn't up to, quite up to the same standard. Again, the engine isn't the sort of like all singing, all dancing with the turbochargers and the, turbocharger and supercharger and all of that gubbins. But as we well know, those are only things that go wrong as the car gets older. They're fantastic when the car's brand new and you've got a manufacturer's warranty, but as soon as they get older, those are the things that break and fail. This is just a nice straightforward 4-cylinder 1500cc, and as you can see, it's super clean in here. Obviously, like I say, the service history is bang on for it. You can't knock it. Oil's, absolutely clear. Let's say 106 brake horsepower and 127 foot-pound of torque, something like that. 0 to 60 is about 10 seconds, I think. So yeah, nippy little car. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. So, one owner from new, only 17,000 miles, 2015, aircon, cruise control, Bluetooth, auxiliary input. What would you think that would be in the current market? If this was a Fiesta, what would we be looking at? Probably thick end of 8 grand, wouldn't we? 8 or 9 grand, something like that. Even if this was an i10, I think this is a 2013, isn't it, with that 70,000 miles, and that's 3,995. If this was an i10, you'd be probably looking at 17,000 miles on, probably an easy 7 grand, if not more. So how much for this little beauty? Well, this will be retailing at 5,495, which, as I said, I don't know you can get a better value for money. And I honestly think anyone who's got any common sense would come and try one of these along the other stuff, because having driven it the short while here, I don't think there's anything about this car that makes it any more tinny or build quality wise poorer than a Hyundai i10 or a Suzuki Swift or an Igo. In terms of the gear change and all that kind of things, this is still roughly the same. Door shuts, with nice amount of thunk. It's all good. So we'll take you for a little spin. I'll show you what it's all about. Now, obviously, just before we do that, one of the main selling points for me on this car, of course, is that it's only just come out of manufacturer's warranty. If I put warranty-wise on it, it's going to have the highest level of cover because of the mileage and the age. And it's pretty much retail ready, isn't it? I mean, what am I going to do to this car other than get that little bit done down there? what is there to do to it? It's all ready to go, which is exactly what I need at the moment on my plate. Yes, we will cover this elephant in the corner of the room in another video, and the decidedly dirty looking Audi TT outside are all to come. Interestingly, I drove in an MGB this morning as well. We'll see if any of that DNA is passed on to this at all, because like I said, that's the one thing that was commented in when I looked at all the reviews, was they're a lot of fun to drive. So let's go for it. Now, I'm going to suffer for my art, and I haven't got any blowers on the go, even though it's baking outside, because you won't be able to hear me, because the sound volume's bad. I still haven't got a microphone yet, have I? So we're out in a little MG3. Let's go and see what it's all about. So as we go along, for starters, like I say, I've done a short journey in this already. No knocks and bangs from the suspension, no creaks from the interior. So all that stuff about poor quality. I've been out in a 2015 Jeep Renegade, you know the one, and that's got some little creaks from the trim in it. Various other cars of better or more, or supposedly better build quality. This thing has no interior trim rattles at all. Gearbox, nice. I'd say the gearbox is more direct than an iGo, and probably a little bit more direct than the i10. So again, you know, feel on the gearbox, I'm not going to mark that down any lower. It's on a par with the Suzuki Swift. It's on a par with the Mazda 2. Maybe slightly less direct than the Mazda 2, but not a lot in it. Steering wheel's lovely. It's got a really good feel to it. I know it sounds daft, but you know what what I mean. If you like driving cars, steering wheels make a big difference. The first thing you get hold of. Little bumps there. They've got a nice feel to them. It's got a nice thickness to it. Feels direct. It's not too big. Not like some of the really thin trimmed ones you can get in, again, some of the high endos and stuff like that. So if we bomb along the road here a bit, you can see here at idle at the junction, you can't hear the engine, so there's no raucous noise from the engine at all. The ride's okay. It's not, you know, it's a bit firmer. It's set up sports wise, so it's a bit firmer than something like an i10. So as we pooter along here, it doesn't feel particularly powerful when we're keeping the revs down low. I didn't cover some earlier. Road tax is £165, so it's like £14 a month if you're doing it by DD. MPG wise, I go off Honest John again, not the manufacturer. So Honest John, the owners are reporting something like 42 MPG and about 50 miles to the gallon on longer run. We have got a fly in here with us now. So MPG is perfectly respectable. Bear in mind this is a 1.5, not a 1.2, so I would expect it not to do quite as well as something like an i10. But I think those numbers are perfectly respectable. Hopefully we get a bit of a run of it and get a chance to try it. So we know where the power is. So we're now doing 60 miles an hour at 2,800 revs, which is ideal. That's nice low gearing. That's not too bad. I mean, this has had 2 bars on it ever since I picked it up, and I've done quite a few journeys in it. I actually think inside it's one of the quieter cars. I honestly have to say that. I think this is quieter, definitely quieter than an iGo. And I'm talking about the sort of iGos you've been buying that are equivalent to this price wise, which would be like 2013 with the 1 litre in it. I'd say it's a little bit quieter than a Swift as well, actually. I'm liking it. I am liking it, genuinely. Right, we're going to have some bends coming up here. We've got some hills. We're getting up there speed-wise now. It's perfectly comfortable at the national speed limit. It doesn't feel strained at all. Like I say, steering's really nice. Like I said, when I read the reports on it, people talked about it being fun and the handling being decent. And I have to say, I'd agree. I mean, if we go through here, pick the speed up a little bit, turn it in, very little body roll, no drama. Come up a steep, this is a steep hill. You always have to change gear on the i10s and stuff like that in this hill. That's the advantage of having 1.5 rather than 1.2, I guess, isn't it? for these hills. It's all well and good on paper them saying they do great MPG and all that, but when you have to start changing down a gear all the time for the hills, that starts to kill your MPG. That's sailed up there in top gear. See, I never necessarily, I do read other people's opinions, but I always like to have a drive of the cars myself. I never write off a car on the basis of other people's opinions, because I think you'd absolutely be stoked picking this up for this kind of money with this kind of miles on and having it as a little run around. I think you'd be absolutely stoked with it. I don't see any reason why you certainly would not get in this and go, oh, the trim quality is not as good as the Swift or the iGo or the i10, or oh, it's noisier. None of those things. Go back and review some of my other videos to prove it to yourself. Right, we need to find some proper bends. Couldn't find anything to put my train plate on the front of this. Yeah, we need to find some decent bends to fling it around a little bit and start getting it. I want to get the revs up a bit because I know that most of the power is at the top end. But what I wanted to prove early on is I've been doing all this journey from 5th gear, so it's got plenty enough torque. If you're not the kind of person that wants to rag it about a place, it's got plenty enough torque to make good progress. I tell you one thing for sure, it is certainly far better than a 1.2 Corsa, like that Corsa in front of us. Having driven tons of those, I'd have this over a 1.2 Corsa any day. Any day. They're so slow. Ponderous. Yeah. Sorry for you Corsa owners out there, but that's just the way it is. So far, I'd say there's been a lot of very smart people out there going and checking these out and buying these for the money they've been buying them for. I definitely wouldn't go for a poverty spec one. Why do that? I mean, I know it's probably cheaper again, but for the money this is, why not go for the one with the full-blown spec on it? I am slowly cooking in here without any aircon or anything, by the way. I hope you appreciate it. Right, let's call it in and see. Luckily, the person in the course is maintaining a fairly decent speed, so we're going to get a decent idea. We'll be able to get through some of these corners.
99 westbound with
this one here. This will unsettle the car quite comfortably. No understeer, no drama. We went through quite a big pothole there without any major clunking. This is some of my favourite set of corners through here. You can string these together really nicely if you're not being blocked off by someone. Holds the line really nicely. Turning is lovely actually. Turning's really good. It's got quite a good amount of feel to it actually. And I think things like the Corsa, they are a bit dead in the steering, so the iGo's a bit dead in the steering. But this has got quite good feel to it. Right, we'll spin it round and we'll come back down that road again. Now obviously for me, the trouble is, being in business, I will have to decide on the basis of how quickly this sells and whether I get more of them in. If it was purely off what I felt in terms of, value for money and quality of car for the money, I would definitely have one of these in stock anytime. Right, so let's get the revs up a bit. This is where the power is, higher up the rev range, so keep the revs there. Obviously it's a bit more raucous as I rev it. Go for this corner here. That is decent. That is decent. Look at this. I'm leaning right on it there, right on the sidewalls there. Keep the revs up. That's a lot of fun. That is a lot of fun. That is a lot of fun. Fair play. For the money, they've created quite a fun little hatch. It doesn't cost a lot to buy, it doesn't cost a lot to run. And the ride actually, even though you've got fairly low profile tyres and a sporty setup, it isn't actually that bad at all. Right, well this is going to get this Chops Garage seal of approval, guys. If you're looking for a car at the moment, a small car, and you do like to have a bit of fun when you drive, you're not just looking for something A to B, make sure this is on your list. Because I don't know about any of the other engines or any of the other specs. I can only say in this spec, with this engine, I think you might be surprised. I'd say the 1.2 Swift is probably getting on as quick as this. I think they've got 90 odd brake horsepower. So I'd say a 1.2 Swift is probably as quick as this with a smaller engine. So economy wise, the Swift might do a little bit better, but you'll pay a lot more money for a Swift and you won't get this kit and it won't look quite as sporty as this, I would have said, unless you go for like my 1.6 Sport. But I'm certainly enjoying this drive. So what we're going to do now is we're going to nip this down to the Moors guys and get its MOT done, because it's actually doing MOT next month, or this month even maybe. So get it MOT so it's fully retail ready like that, because Davey can't come and do the paint quite yet. So we'll get on that. I do have a good friend of mine, you may have been watching the video, Paul, who comes out before he comes over, who I went out for a few drinks with the other night, who said he was looking for a little hatch, and he said he might have an interest in this one. Obviously I'm probably going to end up doing it mates rates, so we probably won't get full price for it, but I don't think he wants things under paint doing. So yeah, that might sort of, you know, I'll be able to balance the two out. But yeah, 17,000 miles on a 2015. It's got all the toys you'd expect in one of the, you know, in a car now. All the things you need: your Bluetooth for your phone, your aircon, your USB input. It looks good. It handles well. Road tax isn't outrageous. Fuel economy is decent. Ticks all the boxes, isn't it? So I think we'll leave it there. As always, everyone, thanks ever so much for watching. I hope this has been of consumer help to you all. A bit of a different video there. Perhaps one day someone from Top Gear might get a look at this and I might get the call. I'm not so sure about that. Perhaps wearing a mic might be a good starting point. But you know, Chop's Garage, it's raw footage all the time, isn't it? So yes, as always, thanks for watching. Please do consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. Check down below, see if you've got the subscribe button ticked or not. It'd be a massive help to me if you could get on that subscribe button, because so many of you aren't. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up so other people get recommended it and they can check out the MG3. Other than that, see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. By the way, after all that ragging, the fuel gauge is still reading exactly the same as when I picked this car up 2 days ago. Hasn't moved. Guys, I've just picked up the Mazda from Moors, from its MOT, which wasn't particularly cheap because I insist on advisory free. So there was a tyre they thought was potentially slightly out of shape, which we did, and a few other niggly bits. I can't remember exactly what it was. Anyway, we can go back to back now, having just driven the MG3 down there, and I can say for sure whether I think there is an awful lot in it. Initially, having hopped back in, I'd say some of the plastics are a little bit nicer, maybe. Not really. No, actually, no, that's rubbish. They're not really at all. Talking rubbish, James. Yeah, I really can't say there's an awful lot. I can't say this is any less plasticky for sure. Steering wheel, I actually prefer the steering wheel in that MG3, I have to say. Gearbox, yes, gearbox is the feel of the gear change is a little bit more direct. Yeah, this is it's got a nicer shift on the gearbox, I'll give it that. But I have to say, I would think the vast majority of drivers might not really notice that unless they are quite full on in their driving. Engine noise, nothing in it. Nothing in it at all. The engine is no noisier in the Mazda 3, I'd have said. Bear in mind, obviously I'm driving slowly through town now, so there's probably a bit more noise from the earlier part of the video where I was driving it on the back roads there. Yeah, I mean, the ride's harder on this. This has got the bigger alloys on it, but the ride is actually harder on this than it is in the Mazda 3, in the MG3. So the MG3 wins on ride, but to be fair to the Mazda, it has got quite a larger wheel on it with a lower profile tyre. kit wise in this, I've got slightly less kit. I haven't got Bluetooth. I have got auxiliary input, aircon. I haven't got rear electric windows. They're manual. And I have to say, this doesn't feel like it's really got any more pickup. I mean, obviously this is a 1.3, so it's giving up 200cc. See, when we turn up the road back up the hill to the unit, give it a few more revs. Oh, I'm sweltering here without the aircon on. You see my arms glistening. Yeah, we'll go up here, give it a few more revs, just see how the noise of the engine sounds like under duress. Oh, lost my trade plate. Mazda doesn't pick up any quicker. I wouldn't say there's anything performance-wise in it. And I wouldn't say that the engine's really any quieter. There's a very small bit of interior trim rattle from the visor up the top here, which wasn't in the Mazda in the MG3. Definitely the MG3 riding better. I know I keep saying it, but definitely riding better. And that's the thing I most expected, it being a cheaper car. I thought the ride would be really quite harsh and nasty, and it wasn't at all. Turning into the corner of the Mazda. Those bigger, lower profile tyres perhaps give a little bit more grip. But I imagine if you stuck rims like this on that MG3, you'd probably get a similar effect. I really, honest to God, could not tell you what you'd be paying for the difference for. Maybe the Mazda, you know, it's a bit slightly bigger, I'd say. And the Mazdas do have a cracking reliability record, but I honestly can't say that I could tell someone exactly why they'd be paying a load more money for the Mazda over the MG3. So, there we have it. That's the real end of the video. Thanks for watching as always.